Welcome to the Stay Healthy Knoxville podcast. Today, I'm excited to interview Dr. Maddy Cline. Dr. Maddy Cline is a doctor of physical therapy. She received her doctorate from South College here in Knoxville, and she is a graduate from the University of Tennessee here in Knoxville as well. Prior to receiving her doctorate in physical therapy, she's actually kind of dual credited. She was went to school for a physical therapy assistant, also from South College, and practiced for 7 years as a physical therapy assistant, and then decided she wanted to go back to school and to get her doctorate in physical therapy. Is now practicing as a physical therapist here with us at Simply Physio. So I'm excited about having Maddy on the show today, where she can share some of her expertise with us and her background, where we can get to know her a little bit more. So welcome to the show, Dr. Maddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we always like to get started with the story, kind of behind the story of how you got even interested in the field of physical therapy. What drew you in? You mind taking us back and telling us a little bit of how your journey began?
Yeah. I had been growing up in sports my whole life and just I was really interested in, I knew something kind of like that. So athletic training, whether it be that or just personal training. And then it kind of grew into more of a rehab interest whenever one of my grandmothers was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré. And
Okay.
so her function kind of declined in a matter of a week, and she was on a vent, and she had a really long recovery process. But I just got to witness everything they did with her in rehab and just ways they could kind of help build her strength back up and get her function back and get her more independent. And I just was inspired, and that's kind of what led me to the PT field.
Yeah. How old were you when that was happening?
I was probably going into high school,
Okay.
middle, like high school age-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're in that was really your first introduction to the field through
hmm
your grandmother's
Yeah. Yeah.
PT.
She was in inpatient rehab for a while. So I'd go visit and see her doing her exercises and stuff. And just seeing from where she started to where she got to at the end was such a vast difference. And I was just really inspiring.
Yeah, yeah, nice. I remember I had a very early on my career had a Guillain-Barré case.
Yeah.
And yeah, you might explain to our audience maybe just very quickly kind of what that's like.
Yeah. So Guillain-Barré is kind of like an autoimmune response. Your body just kind of starts to attack its own nervous system, and then from away from your body and in, it kind of loses function. So she one day, they're not sure if it happened from a virus she had or what, but she just was feeling sick, went to the doctor, they gave her some type of medication, and then she went back home, and then all of a sudden she couldn't get out of her recliner, she couldn't move her limbs.
Yeah,
So they ended up taking her to the hospital and progressed from there.
yeah,
But yeah, it's very quick, very debilitating.
yeah. A slow recovery process.
Yes, very
Um,
scary for people
yeah,
who don't know what's going on.
sure. Well, were there any other kind of confirmations? So it sounded like that was your introduction to the field and
hmm
at least sparked the interest. Were there any other confirming things before you decided to really set your sights on becoming a therapist?
Um, that was really the main one. I went through undergrad and kind of already knew exactly what I wanted to go for, and
Um,
and that was really it.
okay. Um, well, nice. So when you were, deciding as far as your route, you first landed on physical therapy assistant. So went to school
hmm
at South College here in Knoxville, correct?
Yep,
Okay. And you grew up here in Knoxville?
I did. Yeah, I grew
Okay.
up in Powell.
And Pal. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, local, very local experience. So yeah, so you first decided to get started as a physical therapy assistant. So tell us about kind
Mhm.
of that journey.
Yeah, so well, I knew I wanted to go to PT school, and I think um I shot myself in the foot on that one because I only applied to places close to home, and then I ended up not getting in. So then I decided, okay, I'll do PTA for a little while, and I was set with that. I was happy, and then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I could still do this. I can still go back. So um, I kind of ended up just retaking some courses and then reapplying, and luckily got into one right here in Knoxville. Didn't have to travel, and that's what led me to bridge from PTA to DPT.
Okay. Yeah. So you have been a therapist for a while. Started, I think you said in 2018 as
Hmm.
a physical therapy assistant, right?
Hmm.
So I would be interested in even that first year, kind of take us back in that first year of treating patients. Was there anything that you maybe believed, like as a younger clinician, that you think differently about now?
Yeah, I think I definitely feel like I was in the mindset of, okay, we have to do things this way, or I guess I really didn't have the autonomy like I do now to kind of treat my patients like I can or how I see fit. It was
Hmm.
more about PTAs, following the plan of care and doing what you can
And yeah, maybe
under
for
that.
our audience too, help explain the difference between a PTA and a PT, since you've been had
Yeah.
your foot in
Okay.
each camp, and now you're have your doctor in physical therapy.
Yeah. Um, so for DPT, doctor of physical therapy, you're kind of seeing the patient very first. You're um, getting to know them, setting a plan of care, setting goals, seeing what their goals are, um, and and from there you're kind of following them throughout treatment, changing the plan of care as you see fit or as things change, if improve or decline, however the patient's going. For PTA, you still follow that same plan of care, but you follow the plan of care that your therapist has set for that patient. Um, you can progress the exercises. You have that knowledge, you have the experience to be able to understand what the patient needs in that session, and but still you do have to follow that plan of care that the therapist has set for that patient.
Yeah. And I think it says a lot about you having, um, made that transition from physical therapy assistant to a physical therapist, because that's not, I would say, the typical route that someone goes. It's
Yeah.
not required. It's not like you get your master's and then your doctorate. Um, as far as the physical therapy assistant is not required, first to do before becoming a
Hmm.
therapist. So,
Yeah, no.
so you kind of took a little bit longer path, or just a different path to get there. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, even as you were, what were some of the points that you really recognized that, no, I want to go back to school, because it's still like the same amount of additional schooling. So as far as in therapy school, if you combine your doctorate from physical therapy school plus PTA school, it's a lot of schooling, and a lot of
Yeah.
sacrifice that you've made. But what was it in particular that you were like, okay, I really want to kind of rededicate, this time investment, and money, into becoming a full physical therapist?
Yeah, I did not have it in my game plan at all originally. I was done with school. I didn't want to go back. I
Yeah.
was just completely tired of doing school and studying, um and then I worked for, 6, 7 years, and then just some of my best friends were doctors of physical therapy, and so they kind of inspired me, pushed me to reopen that door and think about it. And then I think I just got to a point in my career where I was just kind of plateauing, and I just really wanted that autonomy for my patients to be able to, treat them as I saw fit and not have to constantly have somebody supervising me and stuff like that. So that really just kind of pushed me to the to the point where, okay, I was like, yeah, this is what I need to do. So I went back um, and here we are.
Yep, here we are. Um, is there any specific patient success story that really stands out to you? Whether it be, I know you've treated a lot of patients over the years, whether it be as a physical therapy system or a physical therapist, but kind of and that impact that just your mind kind of goes back to.
Yeah. Um, One that I often think about, I did a rotation here in Knoxville in an outpatient setting, and um, the we just had this patient who was very shut off. She kind of felt like this was the last straw, like therapy wasn't going to help her. She was just here because her doctor sent her here. And I could tell my CI was pretty discouraged. My clinical instructor was pretty discouraged too. Like she really wanted this patient to get better, and she just wasn't sure if she was going to. And then the patient really stuck to therapy, did her homework, came in at her scheduled appointments, and then um, one day she walked into the clinic and usually she kind of likes to be away from everybody else and like kind of in her own little treatment section. And she came just busting through the front doors one day and was just ecstatic and, cheering herself on and loud. And she was like, I just wanted to tell you, like, I'm seeing improvement. And she was just so thrilled. And then my CI was thrilled. And then I was thrilled. And so it was nice to just kind of see her break out of her shell and really realize, like, yeah, I can get better. I can do this. And just see her whole um, mindset and attitude just kind of shift from closed off and to just so excited about the progress that she made.
Yeah, I mean, reflecting back on that case, anything in particular that you feel like were key moments or things that happened that allowed her to maybe overcome?
Um, I'm not sure. She was she had a pretty traumatic past. She was there for some more sensitive diagnoses, and I think once she realized she was safe and that we took her seriously and that we were there to help her, I think, and then she stuck with the exercises. I think that is really what just kind of solidified the progress.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we see that, you know, fairly common is that um, a lot of injuries, there's more to them than just the surface,
Hmm.
right? Like, you know, somebody dealing with chronic back pain or jaw pain or just kind of you name it, like it can affect them on a deep level when it starts almost changing who they are because of what they can or can't do and how they interact, you know, with their peers or with their family, you know, because of that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, but that's kind of the joy of, I think, you know, seeing. I'm sure you know cases like that. That's oftentimes the real impact that you make. You know, is when you're restoring, you know, those really key, important, almost identity, you know, pieces, you know, to them or kind of things
Oh
that
yeah.
are taken away from the essence of who they really are.
Yeah. I like that.
Um,
Yeah. Treating the whole person, not just what they're there for.
yeah. Well, that's kind of a good segue, if you will, into, you know, well, every therapist, you know, obviously there's a lot of similarities between, you know, just physical therapy and physical therapists, but there's also, you know, unique differences from your personality, your training, your education, your experience. Um, I would be interested just to hear about how would you describe your like treatment philosophy, certain things that you're looking to do that you really, you know, value or prioritize, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah. Um, I think it goes along with working at Simply Physio and just the philosophy behind this clinic alone is that we can really just give individualized care, being one-on-one. not having texts or anything like that. Like we really are just able to spend 100% of our time with the patient. And that is one of the reasons why I chose to work here. But that's just different conversation.
Yeah.
But yes, I really, just being able to spend the whole time with my patient, get to know them, um, just creating a safe environment, letting them know that, they can talk to me. Therapy is much more about just pain and exercise. It's a lot of getting to know the person and getting to know what works for them. What works for them might not work for somebody else, and vice versa. So I think that's a huge part of it is just building that trust and really getting to know the person and just breaking down like what their goals are. Might not be this the same therapy goals that I have set for them, but their goals of therapy are really important too.
Yeah. And you mentioned just the environment, that we treat in here in Simply Physio as far as, giving undistracted care, treating patients, just one patient at a time. Because most of your career, it was in a more typical setting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you're seeing you're kind of juggling multiple patients at once. What kind of impact has that made kind of since transitioning, would you say, in your care? Like, have you adjusted in certain ways, being able to have all your attention on a patient?
Um, yeah, I guess you make adjustments without really thinking about it. I think um in that other type of setting it's more about survival mode and you're trying to do the best for your patient that you possibly can, but then there's days when you leave and you just feel drained and you're just like, did I help anybody today? I'm not really sure. And then now just having all my attention on one person and not having to constantly be listening to what's behind me or what's going on the other side of the room or, you know, hollering at somebody from the other side of the room. It's just kind of really it helps you create that calming environment
Yeah,
and just yeah, it was a transition just on its own, just not even having to deal with all that and that kind of just fell into place.
awesome. What for our patients, what would you say um, that patients often misunderstand about recovery? Anything that you find in particular?
Um, Sometimes I feel like people get hung up on pain alone. Um, and I know, most people that come to therapy have pain and that's why they're here, but I don't think that's the most important part of the time. Yeah, I don't want you to have pain and I want to get rid of your pain, but I think that um, just because your pain is gone doesn't mean you're recovered. You really got to make sure you've that's just the foundation. Then you have to strengthen on top of that and get you functionally where you need to be. It's not all about pain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, pain is obviously what brings people in.
Hmm.
It's a strong motivator, and if it serves that purpose, it's done a good thing. Um, to bring somebody into treatment to alert them when something is wrong. But it's just, it's the alert system. Just because the alert system has gone off doesn't mean the thing's actually been corrected. Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's always, an educational, piece and treatment of like, okay, you're doing really good, but we need to keep our foot on the gas here because this is where it makes a difference and the rubber meets the road of making long lasting changes.
Hmm. Yep.
So, um, all right, when kind of going into maybe thinking about a patient coming in and working with you for their first session or what we call their evaluation, um, when someone walks into the room for the first time, oftentimes people can be filled with a lot of different emotions, whether
Hmm.
it be unknown, like not knowing what's going to happen, maybe some doubt, maybe some skepticism. Can this person really help me? Some fears. There can be a lot going on at first. That first appointment. What are you hoping, that you're able to kind of accomplish that first appointment as far as helping even just how they feel about like leaving that first appointment? What's kind of some of your main goals in that aspect?
Yeah, so like I said, I really like to try and build that foundation first, just getting to know the person. You don't have to get right to it right when they walk through the door, you reassure them like, I'm here for you. I'm really interested in, helping you reach your goals, help you get better. But I just want them to, feel encouraged and supported and not like I'm just another doctor just trying to tell them what they need to do to get better. Like I'm here, I'm part of their team. We're and like I said, like the goals of therapy that I set for them might not be what's important to them. So I also try and make goals based on what they think is most important to them and getting back to doing. I think that's really important. It shows them that I do care about why they're here and what they want to get back to. It's not just let's make this move better, let's get this stronger. It's about what exactly, why are you here? What do you need to be able to do
Yeah.
whenever therapy's all said and done?
Yeah. If you kind of reflect back on, let's say, just an evaluation or just about like that first session with a patient, what would you say kind of the main boxes you're trying to check? It's like, okay, we had a good first session. That was a successful evaluation first session. Are there certain things in particular that you're hoping to really accomplish? Other things in that first evaluation with the patient?
Yeah, I would say some of the ones that I feel most accomplished are is when somebody's coming in, not necessarily if they have just some incredibly high pain level at the time, but you can just kind of see that pain just really wears and tears on people emotionally as well. So you have people that come through the door and you can just tell they're drained. This is like not where they want to be, even though they know they need to be here. And then you really just let them know like, hey, we're here for you. We're going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to do the best I can to help you meet your goals and reduce this pain. And you just talk them through it, encourage them, give them hope. And then by the end of the treatment session, it's awesome whenever they are leaving smiling and excited to come back and, just thrilled that their session went the way it did and not, coming in here bummed out and leaving even more bummed out, you know.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Well, want to shift a little bit here, a conversation that you have some kind of special areas of interest. You obviously, help, a wide gamut of injuries and individuals, but you also have some areas that you've had some specialized training in particular. One of those is hypermobility and EDS or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So
Mhm.
I'd love for you to maybe speak a little bit to what how that specialty or interest developed and kind of what you've done in that field, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, so in my last career as a PTA, I was working closely with a doctor of physical therapy who had started gaining interest in it. And she was more of a peds therapist, but she was seeing uh, the EDS population. And so I was kind of um, seeing them be treated and kind of learning alongside of her. And then she moved to another state. So then I was like, oh, well, somebody's got to treat these people. So I ended up taking some continuing ed courses on it and just was learning how complex these cases can be. And I was also doing aquatic therapy at the time. And so that kind of brought more of the hypermobile population in. So I just took it upon myself to take some of the courses to learn more about them. And that's how I first got interested in it. And then once I transitioned to DPT in school, I connected with some of my professors who lived out in Portland and Portland, Oregon, and they found me this awesome clinic that specialized in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and hypermobility. And so I went out there and did a clinical rotation learned a ton, still a ton to learn, but it just really solidified my interest in that certain population, and that's why I've just kind of grown that caseload now.
Yes, and so you did a full clinical rotation at a clinic that's really all it was pretty much what they saw, correct?
Yeah, they had
Yeah,
some therapists that were specialized in other things, but my my clinical instructors probably saw 90%, 95% of their caseload was hypermobility.
yeah. So how do you maybe approach that type of patient differently than somebody who does not have a hypermobility type condition?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to answer. Each EDS and hypermobility patient are very different compared to themselves, and so it's just kind of it's more about really getting to learn the person, very systemic. So there could be it's more about it's much more than just joints and muscles and tendons and ligaments. It's about full body really. And so you really have to understand and interview the patient from all aspects, not just asking them what joint hurts the most that day. It really is about, the vascular system. It's about their gut. It's about everything in their body because Ehlers-Danlos has to do with your collagen and your connective tissue. And when you break down the body, it's mostly connective tissue, and so it your symptoms can be just vastly different, and it could be day to day too. Like one day things could be feeling great, and then something else doesn't feel great, and so you really do have to kind of pivot and transition um, often, and very much trial and error. If this doesn't work, that's okay. We'll modify it. Things like that.
Yeah. Are there any common struggles that patients with hypermobility experience before really finding answers?
Yeah, I think the hypermobility population is just very misunderstood, and there aren't a ton of clinicians that understand EDS and HSD, hypermobility, as a whole. So they just, they do the best they can, but they just tell them, okay, go strengthen, or maybe if that's tight, go stretch a little more. And really, that's just kind of treating symptoms. It's not specialized, individualized care that these people need, and so they just kind of leave um, um, discouraged, and they've already tried all the suggestions and everything, and they just they just really need more people, to back them, and more people to know what's really going on with them and how to treat them.
Awesome. Well, with one other area that you've has some experience in and specialty is pelvic floor and incontinence as well, correct?
hmm Yep, I did a clinical rotation as well with pelvic health.
Okay. And so are there with that experience too, how do you like to incorporate that with, do you find that's just a very specific type of patient, or do you incorporate some of those tools like from that experience with even your EDS or other patients? Has that
Oh
influenced
yeah, I
your
think
treatment approach?
yeah, I think you can kind of see sometimes too, like if you have patients who just, they're not progressing like you would expect them to, and you're focusing on strengthening and stabilizing and body awareness in some areas, and they're just and something's not progressing like you would hope they would. I think the pelvic floor could have a lot to do with that because it is, part of your core, and a lot of your function during the day. And so I think addressing that with especially the hypermobile population can be very
Yeah.
beneficial to them. But not only that, just I mean, um, most people who come through our door, I feel like could benefit from help with that, even though they don't realize it.
Yeah. Um, awesome. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Maddie.
Mm.
Was a little change in gears here as far as to let our audience and listeners know, like, are there any interests outside the clinic in particular that you have? Any hobbies or kind of what keeps you going?
I used to play as many sports as I possibly could until I tore my ACL 2 years ago, but now I kind of keep it more to hiking and really like to get on the water on the weekends, so boating,
Okay.
paddleboarding, kayaking, if it's sunny out. And then I just got a new dog, so I about month and a half ago, so we're still getting used to that.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm sure it'll be a fun summer. We'll
Nice.
we'll get him outside.
Does the dog like the water?
I'm hoping.
Hoping.
Yeah.
Uh,
We
what kind of
haven't
dog?
boxer.
A boxer. Okay.
Yeah. So fingers crossed he likes the water. I'd like to get him out there. We'll see.
You'll have to see if you can get him up on the. Did you say you do paddleboarding
Yeah.
too? If we can stay on the paddleboard with you.
Yeah. He's pretty clumsy still. He's still pretty young, so he'd probably knock me off.
Yeah. Well,
But
any other fun facts? Maybe the things that people may not know about you that you like to share?
mm, I always tell my friend, I'm like, hurry, quick, give me a fun fact because I can't ever think of anything. Um, um, I was on a kickball team for 6 years.
Okay.
That's a fun fact, I guess. I don't know. Was that fun?
Kickball. Yeah, I've never been on a kickball team. Played
Yeah,
kickball, in grade school, and
yeah,
but not beyond that. Well,
yeah.
fun. Well, in closing, I'd like to ask three questions just to encourage people to go out and explore new things. And so the first would be, what is your favorite restaurants around
Mm.
town?
Man, that's a tough one. There's so many good ones. I think it depends on what type of food you're wanting that day, but I'll just say Savelli's because that's where I go for my birthday every year.
Okay, where's that? I don't know if I've heard of that one.
It's down by West High School. It's a little Italian restaurant, family-owned
Okay,
Italian restaurant.
okay,
Yeah,
nice.
that's really good. I
Um,
get the blackened scallop Alfredo every year for my birthday.
okay, that sounds pretty good
Delicious.
too.
Yeah.
And then what would you say a favorite spot to enjoy outside around kind of the Knoxville area that you like to go frequent?
Well, it's the dog park now, but we I do like the Cove. The Cove is pretty cool. There's
Hmm.
volleyball courts. You can walk the trails.
Yeah,
And
over there.
then
Yeah, in
you
Farragut.
can bike as well. Yeah, and then you can take your paddleboard out there.
Yeah,
But
nice.
yeah,
Like a
it
little
does get
beach there
busy.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets busy, but yeah.
And then what about like a bucket list thing, something that you would like to do sometime in the near future that you haven't had a chance to go do or experience around Knoxville or kind of greater East Tennessee area? Anything that comes to mind?
Mm. Oh no, I was
Any
not prepared.
trips?
In Knoxville, I do not have any trips planned.
Okay.
Um,
It could be even outside. I mean, maybe
yeah,
it's a little bit of a distance to get to.
yeah, I can
Anything
tell
that,
you a goofy one I remember. I just ran a mud run with some of my friends, and we
okay.
were on a farm, and we were joking as we were running through the mud that the next obstacle was going to be milking a cow, and because there were some cows right next to us, and I said maybe I should add that to my bucket list, learn how to milk a cow. So I'll say maybe I'll add that to my bucket list.
Nice. I've milked a goat before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We used to have goats growing up, had little pygmy goats.
Yeah.
And occasionally the mother would reject its newborn and say we'd try to help kind of get it going. But yeah, that's the largest animal that I've milked. Not a I haven't, I guess, graduated up to a Cal level. I don't think I will. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I'm never going to finish this race because I'm not going to be able to do that. That is the obstacle.
yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show, on the podcast, and sharing your expertise. And yeah, I'll say Maddie's an excellent therapist. You're lucky if you're on her schedule. Her schedule probably stays the most full out of anybody's. And I think that's a testament to her patients who really like working with her and see the progress that she's making with them. And so you're lucky if you are on her schedule. Or if you're looking to get on her schedule, you can contact us at Simply Physio, simplypt.com, and reach out if you'd like to have Maddie be your therapist or schedule an evaluation with her. So, but yeah, thank you for coming on the show, Dr. Maddie, and stay healthy, Knoxville.
Thank you.
You're welcome.